In a surprising new twist in the Russia-Ukraine conflict, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky has announced fresh sanctions aimed at some of Moscow's high-ranking officials. What makes this development especially interesting is that one of the targeted figures is not a general, not an intelligence chief, but one of Russia's top peace negotiators, Kirill Dmitriev. This move adds a new layer to the ongoing diplomatic standoff and raises questions about how it might impact any future talks between the two countries. Let's break down what happened, who is involved, and why it matters. Kirill Dmitriev is not just any Russian official. He serves as a senior economic aide to President Vladimir Putin and is the head of the Russian Direct Investment Fund, one of the most important financial institutions in the country. He is Harvard-educated, has a background in international banking, and has been considered a key behind-the-scenes negotiator in discussions involving Ukraine. Over the past years, Dmitriev has reportedly visited the United States multiple times, holding quiet conversations with members of former US President Donald Trump's administration. Those meetings were said to involve ideas for possible peace settlements, economic cooperation, and ways to reduce direct confrontation. According to Russian officials, Dmitriev has been pushing for more dialogue and fewer threats, warning Washington that aggressive policies have not produced results. So why is Ukraine now punishing someone believed to be involved in peace efforts? In a statement posted on President Zelensky's official website, Kyiv accused Dmitriev of something entirely different: spreading pro-Russian messaging internationally, helping channel Russian money into sensitive sectors of foreign economies, influencing economic decisions abroad in ways Ukraine considers harmful. The Ukrainian government framed the sanctions as part of a defensive strategy, not only politically, but economically. Zelensky also hinted that this decision is connected to Russia's own actions. In recent weeks, Moscow imposed sanctions on several Ukrainian figures, including Prime Minister Yulia Sviridenko. Kyiv says it is responding in kind. Ukraine also made it clear that this might not be the end. Officials stated they intend to share proposals for additional sanctions with international partners and argued that Russia deserves far greater global pressure. In other words, Ukraine wants other countries to join in. Dmitriev was not the only name on the list. One of the other notable figures is Lieutenant General Alexander Zorin, a senior Russian representative in earlier peace talks held in Istanbul. Those talks took place months ago and resulted in several agreements: multiple prisoner-of-war swaps, exchanges of soldiers' remains, cooperation on humanitarian issues. While those negotiations never produced a full ceasefire, they did lead to the only significant exchanges between the two sides in that period. Because of that, Zorin had been viewed as another potentially important link between Moscow and Kyiv. Ukraine also sanctioned 5 Russian publishing houses, accusing them of spreading pro-Kremlin narratives abroad. The Kremlin did not immediately release a detailed statement, but Russian officials have repeated a familiar position. Moscow says it wants a long-term settlement. It claims the conflict must end in a way that addresses the root causes, and it argues that a quick ceasefire would simply give Ukraine time to rebuild its forces and receive more weapons from Western countries. Russia insists that without deeper political changes and security guarantees, any short-term truce will fail. This development matters for several reasons. First, punishing negotiators is unusual. Countries often target generals, intelligence chiefs, or business oligarchs. But sanctioning someone involved in peace efforts sends a very different message. It suggests Kyiv is frustrated with how talks have been handled and may be trying to increase pressure on anyone representing Moscow in diplomatic channels. Second, it shows that the sanctions war is becoming more symbolic as well as practical. Both sides now sanction each other's politicians, business leaders, journalists, financial institutions, and even publishers. The goal is not only to cut off resources, but to send political signals. Third, this could influence future peace discussions. If negotiators become targets, fewer people may be willing to put their names forward, and communication may become even more tense. Just recently, Dmitriev spoke publicly at the Future Investment Initiative Forum in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. He stated that Russia believes peace can be reached within a year. It was a surprising comment, considering there is currently no major peace process underway and both militaries remain active on the battlefield. His statement suggested that Moscow thinks some sort of political agreement is possible, if certain conditions are met. Ukraine's sanctions now introduce a new obstacle to that road. At this moment, there is no clear sign that Russia and Ukraine are returning to formal peace talks anytime soon. However, international pressure continues to grow, especially from countries that have been affected by global economic instability, rising energy prices, and trade disruptions. Some analysts believe that sanctioning Dmitriev may be a way for Ukraine to signal that it will not negotiate with anyone it believes is harming the international community through information warfare or economic influence. Others view it as a warning from Kyiv. If Russia targets Ukrainian officials, Ukraine will respond with the same degree of force. This latest sanction list fits a wider trend, diplomacy turning into economic warfare. Russia continues to restrict Ukrainian officials. Ukraine continues to expand its sanctions. Western allies regularly add new restrictions on Russian individuals and companies. Moscow responds with bans of its own. Both sides claim the other has no interest in peaceful solutions. As the conflict continues, sanctions have become one of the main battlegrounds. So, to summarize, President Zelensky has sanctioned multiple Russian officials. The most prominent is Kirill Dmitriev, a well-known negotiator and financial advisor to Putin. Ukraine says he spreads propaganda and influences foreign economies. Moscow says it wants a long-term peace, but rejects an immediate ceasefire. Dmitriev recently suggested that peace might be possible within a year. Now, his ability to act as a negotiator may be limited. What this means for future peace talks is still unclear. What is clear is that the sanctions war is getting more personal and more political by the day.